time you are joining us. It is lovely to have you here. Thank you for, as ever, taking this time for yourself. I'm distracted because I have my feline assistant once again, and she's just having a really thorough bath, so we'll see how long that distracts her for. Who knows what could happen? It's all about the real life yoga, isn't it? So anyway, hope you're well. This is our penultimate sort of class of this term. Where does the time go? So keep an eye on your emails, because I know I keep saying this, but I will be sending out the dates for the next term, and what that looks like, and when it will start and when it will finish and all that kind of thing. My intention at the moment is to pretty much just roll on through. So I'm just double checking the dates, but I think there may be one Wednesday that we might miss between this one finishing and then the next one starting. And then my intention is at the moment to just go all the way through. So but those dates will be coming at you, and of course, because you are wonderful, there will be a cheeky little discount for signing up. And you know, life's a bit rubbish at the moment, and we all want to not have to spend money. So I will be knocking off some dosh for you guys. Excuse me, I think I'm being sabotaged by a cat hair. So this evening we will continue to build on what we were starting to look at last week. We were thinking about opposing forces in our poses, and finding kind of how we can connect with like rooting down, so that we can find kind of a sense of lifting up when we need it. And you know, yoga is all about teaching us stuff, as hopefully you realize by now, and it's not just about being bendy. And we do there's a lot of talk in yoga, especially in asana, about the opposing forces at work. And if we were to take these teachings off the mat, we could start thinking about how in an asana, when you feel the opposing forces at work, although that could be a feeling of contradiction and confusion and instability, actually, if you use those opposing forces, if you tune into them, you can find the strength at the center of them, and actually sort of rooting yourself in the middle of those opposing forces, using your breath, connecting to your prana, connecting to your energy, can actually, we talked about this before, kind of put you in a space where you're in the midst of flow and there is stillness there. Because I know it's all a bit of an oxymoron, but it's almost like, you know, how we've been using in our breath work at the beginning of classes, finding that little pocket of stillness at the top of the inhale and at the bottom of the exhale. I sometimes feel like if you really tune in to the opposing forces in your poses, it's the equivalent of kind of sitting for a moment in that little pocket of stillness. It's almost like kind of, you know, being in the eye of the hurricane, I guess. Not that I've ever been in one, but that kind of analogy. Not to say it's easy, so not to say that you don't get drift, you don't get pulled one way and pulled the other way, but when you can find that kind of sweet spot in the middle, that's where the good stuff is. And that reinforces what we learn with our yoga poses, and that it's all about evenness and equanimity, and we want evenness of effort. And again, when we look at our opposing forces, when we think about evenness and bringing that into the pose, it can really help. So, you know, keeping both feet equally weighted, making sure there's as much of an up reach as there is of a down grounding. And we'll look at that more as we move through the poses. And having roots is something, I think there's something about finding roots in poses, so that you can kind of root to rise, you hear a lot of instructors saying. And it's true, you need those roots ironically, to give you the stability from which you can lift and grow and rise and become everything you want to be. And there's a lot of analogy with lotus flowers in yoga about how they have their, in spiritual teachings, not necessarily just in yoga, but how they have their roots in the dirt and the silt and the mud of kind of real life, you might call it. Yet having that root allows them to grow up through the muddy water and bloom on the surface. But without having their roots, they wouldn't be able to fight their way through the murk of the water. And there's a lot of different analogies about, you know, from being able to rise from difficulties and being able to kind of to lift to a higher state. And it's quite often why you see a lotus flower as the symbol for like your crown chakra. You know, there's a lot of the kind of the Venn diagram of all of this stuff crossing over. Opposing forces also reflect the fact that we do a lot of kind of cyclical stuff in yoga. There's a lot about rising and falling. There's interpretations of sun salutations and moon salutations, where, you know, when you walk, if you go through a normal sun salutation, you go from standing to folding to floor to inversion to standing, and you'll quite often see the moves of a sun salutation drawn in a circle, because you always come back to that samastihiti, that pose at the beginning, like at the front of your mat, and you just keep going round from that. And we can also think about the seasons when we think about opposing forces, you know, spring, summer, winter, night and day. All this feeds into the importance of how we consider opposing forces. And I think now as I was just kind of thinking about this literally just before I started the class, excuse me, I was kind of like, maybe that's why, for me anyway, and we were just talking about it before I pressed the record button, like why autumn can be a bit of a meh month, because it's a transitional month almost, you know what I mean? It's like, I know all the seasons are change, but I wonder for me whether I find autumn so difficult because it is that kind of shifting from the summer into the winter. You know, it's not a clear, it's somewhere in the middle of the summer winter opposing forces thing. I don't know, that's probably just my stuff coming out. I thought it interesting to bring up. I'm kind of wishing I hadn't, because I'm not sure where I was going with it. Anyway, a good quote, an interesting quote for you, and then we will crack on with moving around. This is from a yoga teacher called David Svensson, who is an Ashtanga yoga teacher. But he says, there is no point where we can say we have mastered yoga. We can only seek to identify and intertwine the oppositions of force at play within and without, and journey towards balance. So it's not just about opposing forces on the outside, also what's going on the inside. And I quite like that. I'm going to read it one more time just because I like it so much. There is no point where we can say we have mastered yoga. We can only seek to identify and intertwine the oppositions of force at play within and without, and journey towards balance. So again, it's lots of stuff we've talked about before, the fact that it's a journey, the fact that it's not linear, the fact that there is flow, and we are always looking to find those little pockets of where we can balance. And remember that balance isn't stillness. That's another discussion for another day. So we will carry on with our asana practice. As ever, if you've got the kind of more solid purple bricks, you might want to have a couple of them handy, not compulsory. Otherwise, we're just going to get on with it. So get yourself into your favorite Shavasana shape for start by emptying out before we begin. And remember, this is again stating the bleeding obvious, as my mother would say. But if it's a bit chilly wherever you are, make sure you are warm for these bits. You know, there'll be plenty of time. I think that's one of the beautiful things about being able to practice at home is you can make the environment just as cozy and as nurturing as you need. And there's something lovely about that, as opposed to being in a drafty studio or a boiling hot studio. So, you know, nurture yourself in this beginning and ending. Again, cyclical. We're beginning and ending in the same shape. So yeah, have a blanket or some socks or a nice fleecy jumper and get into your Shavasana shape. And if for any reason lying on your back is not working for you tonight, lie however you can, or if you don't feel like lying down, of course you can do this sitting up, but it's quite nice to take the opportunity to lie down. And then once you're ready, let your eyes gently fall closed. Take a big breath in through the nose and sigh it out. Good. At least 2 more breaths like that. Big breath in through the nose, big sigh out through the mouth. And with each sigh, imagine how it would feel to be letting go of something. Even if you don't consciously know what you could be letting go of, just imagine how that might feel. And begin to let yourself settle. Begin to find that feeling of pressing the pause button on your day. And find that sensation of all the disparate parts of you arriving here and now onto your mat. So all the roles that you have played during the day, all the things that you have been doing, that's all been and gone. And of course, there's still more to come. But for here and now, for the next hour or so, this is your time and it is all about you. And of course, your mind will wander to what has been. It will scamper off to what could be yet to come. But your challenge, if you choose to accept it, is to notice when and where that happens, and with compassion and kindness and patience, just keep bringing your awareness back into this moment, back into your body, back into your breath. So as we take this moment to empty out, before we begin to tune in. Begin to notice how you feel as a whole. Begin to notice what your energy levels are like. Notice what kind of mood you're in. Remember, there is no right or wrong. Just allow yourself to feel whatever there is for you in this moment. You don't have to like it or dislike it, but can you just accept it for what it is? And remember that it will pass. It will come and it will go. So just notice whatever it is for you here and now. As you begin to tune in, let's take a moment to notice thoughts. So take your awareness up to that space between your ears and tune in to whatever's going on in your mind at the moment. And remember, I want you to try and position yourself as the interested observer of these thoughts, not the active participant. So you're just going to watch them come and go as if they were clouds moving across the sky, or bubbles floating through the air, or traffic trundling along a road. We're just building the practice of recognizing that we are separate from our thoughts, particularly when we are dealing with opposing forces in our life. Having this ability to know that we are not our thoughts, I think, is the equivalent, again, of positioning yourself in that moment of stillness, positioning yourself somewhere where you can take a moment and choose how to respond rather than just react. But it all starts here. It all starts with just noticing your thoughts. And then as you've noticed mind, let's take a moment to tune into body. So starting at the top of the head, taking 30 seconds or so, begin to scan down. Just letting the awareness start up at the top of the head and then roll all the way down to the tips of your toes. And just as you did with your thoughts, you're not trying to stop or change or control anything. You're just noticing. Not liking, not disliking. Just noticing. And then as you've noticed mind, as you've noticed body, let's take a moment to notice breath. So take the awareness down to wherever you can most easily feel the rise of your inhale and the fall of your exhale. Notice cool air coming in. Notice warm air going out. And let the breath become an anchor for your mind. And as you tune into the breath, find those pockets of stillness. Find the stillness that resides at the peak of the inhale, the stillness that rests at the bottom of the exhale. And remember, you don't have to do anything to create those pockets. They are there naturally by themselves. Reminding us that there is space and stillness within movement, within the ups and downs, within the ins and outs. Whilst it may feel that it's constantly moving and changing, there is always a connection that we can find that's constant. Keeping that connection to your breath. Bring one hand onto your belly, bring one hand up onto your sternum, and take a moment to set your intention for your practice. So take a moment and tune in to what it is you need from your practice this evening. How do you want to feel as you move through the poses? How do you want to feel when you step off the mat and go back into your day? What do you need the practice to do for you here and now? Remember, this is an opportunity to tune into your gut, to listen to your heart, and maybe not go with your head. Once you have set your intention, remain open-minded to the other good, positive, groovy stuff that may well come along. Then when you're ready, you can gently blink your eyes open. Have a little roll around on your back with your knees drawn up to your chest. Do whatever you need just to bring some movement gently back into the body. And then whilst you're still lying down, take your hands up over your head and stretch out to the tips of your toes. And let's just use opposing forces here to have a really nice, big, long stretch. And it might even make you yawn. And then let it go. And then in any way you can, gently roll to your side. And then bring yourself up to a seated position. Actually, that's a line. We're going to come up to seating anyway, and then we're going to move. So what I actually want you to do is I want you to be up on your knees. Now, if this is uncomfortable, if you can't be up on your knees for any reason, that's fine. You can just sit cross-legged, and you won't quite. You're going to sit cross-legged, and you're going to massage the soles of your feet like we did last week. So you're going to get your knuckles and your thumbs and give yourself a really good foot rub. You're going to wiggle your toes and squeeze the feet. If, however, being up on your knees is okay, I'm going to turn around just so that you can kind of see what I'm doing. So I'm going to take the top of my right sort of ankle and place it in the arch of my left foot. So top of my right sort of ankle foot bit is in the arch of my left foot. Now, when I do that, it will mean that my right knee has come back a bit from my left knee, and that's fine. And then I want you to sit back on your heels. Your knees won't be lined up, and you'll feel, and the knees can be sort of splayed out a little bit as well. And you'll feel how the top of your right foot pressing into the arch of your left foot wakes it up in an interesting way, especially if you walk around with shoes on all the time. If you've ever had a thing called plantar fasciitis, very unpleasant. We are getting into some of that plantar fascia stuff here. If it's really crippling you, you can use your blocks to take some of the weight in your hands and to kind of build up over time, gently putting a little more weight in the feet, coming out, a little more weight in, and then taking it out. However, if you can sit back comfortably, I mean, you can see I'm cheating. I'm not sitting all the way back. I'm perched a little bit. Do as I say, not as I do. I want you to take your right hand to your left forearm and give your forearm squeeze and release all the way down your forearm. If you've got a watch on, you can take it off, don't worry about it. Just massage and release the flesh on your forearm. And it may be kind of more tender than you expect it to, especially if you've been typing all day. And then take it down into the palm, squeeze and release the palm. And then you can put the palm on the floor, don't wimp out of the feet stuff. And just like we did with feet last week, you can kind of rub your knuckles in and around your palm, take it around in some circles, or you can do it with your thumb holding it in the air. Give the knuckles a bit of a rub, and then go along each finger, starting with the knuckle, then massage the joint right the way up to the fingernail. So massage knuckle, finger joint, nail. All the way. We did something similar like this to our toes last week. Good. And then flex and whatever the opposite of that is, open the hand and take the wrist around in some circles. Good. Bring the weight out of your feet, you'll be pleased to know, and then swap over. So take the top of your left ankle into the arch of your right foot and then ease yourself backwards. And again, you can splay the knees out a little bit. Your left knee will be further back than your right knee, but that's fine. Again, if it's excruciating, then over time you can have weight in your hands, and over time play with putting more weight in the backs of the feet. Notice also if one foot is a lot more sensitive than the other one. I don't know what that means, I'm not going to lie, but it's interesting to notice. Anyway, right hand time, turn, squeeze and release the flesh in your forearm. And again, it just brings some awareness, just gets the blood flowing, going up and down, like you were kind of trying to squeeze a sponge. Feels quite nice. And then again, you can get your thumb into your palm or turn the palm up, get some knuckles into it, take it around in some circles. And then again, massage each finger from the bottom knuckle, middle knuckle, top knuckle, what? To the nail. It's almost like you're kind of just not quite milking your fingers. That sounds weird. Just going from the base, middle to the nail. You can even give them a little pull. You might get a satisfying crack. Then fist and wide hand. Screw the fingers in, take them out. And again, there's some wrist rolls with this hand. Take it around and then give both of them a bit of a shake. And then you'll be pleased to know, oh, you can take it out. Just for a moment, spread your fingers wide. And just for a very gentle moment, just push back into a super gentle downward facing dog. Just give the feet a little walk on the spot and place all the awareness in your feet. And just notice how your feet now feel on the mat. Maybe slightly different. As you walk them on the mat, notice if there's any more ease of movement through the sole of the feet. Good. And then bring yourself back. You can either be on your knees just normally or sitting cross-legged. We're just going to very quickly remind ourselves of the energy lines we did on feet and legs last week, and then find something similar in your hands. Then we will move on to the flowy moving around bit. So ground your left hand on the floor as if it was doing a downward facing dog hand by itself. With your right hand, gently ground the tip of your left thumb and then trace along the thumb, along the outside of the hand, round the wrist and kind of halfway up the inside of the arm. Just simple. So again, back to the thumbnail, ground it, then trace along the outside of the hand, round the wrist, up the arm. And do that again from thumb, round the wrist, and up the arm. Good. Then take your hand to the outside of your forearm and trace down with two fingers from the middle of the outside of your forearm, down the outside, round the wrist bone, along the outside of the hand, and ground the tip of the little finger. Do that again. Down the outside, round the wrist, ground the tip of the little finger. One more time. Down, round the wrist, tip of the little finger. Good. Make it longer. Go back to your thumb. Thumbnail, trace along the outside up through this, but this time come up through your inner elbow, all the way up into your armpit. I know, it's weird. Then come across the shoulder, down the outside of your arm, then all the way down around the outside of the wrist to the tip of the little finger. Again, from your left thumb, up the inside, into the armpit, across, then down the outside of the arm, down, tip of the little finger. One more time from the tip of your thumb. Obviously yours is on the floor, but I'm just lifting it up in case you can't see what I'm doing. Thumb, you trace quite a firm pressure, I would say, up into the armpit, across the front of the shoulder, down the outside, the tip of the little finger. Good. Swap your hands. Right hand, place it down, active as if it was doing a downward facing dog. Ground the tip of your thumb, trace from the outside of the thumb, round the wrist, up to the middle of the forearm. And again, ground the thumb, trace along, draw it up, middle of the forearm, ground the thumb, draw it up, middle of the forearm. Good. And then take your hand to the outside, left hand to the outside of your right arm, come down, round the wrist, along the outside of the hand, little fingernail. Again, you're coming down, nice firm pressure, around the outside of the hand, to the fingernail, down, round the wrist, outside of the fingernail. Good. Let's take it into the whole arm line now. So to the thumbnail, draw up the inside of the arm, through the elbow, right the way up into your armpit, across the front of the shoulder, comes down the outside, round the wrist, to the little finger. And again, from the thumb, draw all the way up to the armpit, across the shoulder, then down, strong, firm pressure to the tip of the little finger. One more time from the thumb, up the inside. It helps you haven't got a massive jumper on. Across the shoulder, down the outside, ground the little finger. Good. So those are your active energy lines in your arms that I want you to think about once we start to move. Just as a quick reminder to what's going on in the legs, something similar. We'll just do this one time on each leg to remind you. So same as the arms. So do your left leg to begin with, doesn't really matter. First two fingers, ground the base of the left big toe. Draw your fingers along the inside of the foot, around the bony bit of the ankle, then draw all the way up through the inner seam of the leg, all the way up into your groin, then across the front of your hip crease, then pull down the outside of your thigh, down the IT band, down the outside of the calf, all the way down to around the back of the ankle bone, and then ground the little toe of your left foot. Right leg's turn. This is just a reminder. Left hand, ground the base of your big toe. Pull along the inside of your right foot, around the bony bit of your ankle bone. Pull up through the inner seam of your leg, all the way up into your groin. Then draw the fingers across the hip crease to the outside of the thigh. Then trace down the outside of the thigh along the IT band, outside of the knee, come down the outside of the leg, round the back of the bony bit of your ankle, down the outside of the foot, and ground base of your little toe. And then make your way back into your downward facing dog. Good. So again, give the downward dog a little walk on the spot. Again, notice how the feet feel, but also notice how your hands feel. After that little bit of awareness raising, that little bit of massage that we gave ourselves, and it was only very brief and very quick. You can obviously do it for longer and more intensity if you want to, but just notice if you can feel a little more in the fingertips, a little more activity in the palms, a little more clarity in what you're connecting to. Bend your knees, look at the space between your hands, and gently bring your feet forwards as much as you can. Keep a really nice soft bend in the knees. Remember, we're only just starting. Let the head hang for a moment and let the arms hang too. You can hold the elbows if that feels nice. Just take a little sway from side to side. Head is just kind of hanging off your neck like a natural weight, lengthening out the spine. Then release the arms if you're holding them. And inhale, just come up to halfway. Now imagine that someone is very gently and lovingly pulling the top of your head straight out. And at the same time, someone is lovingly pulling your hip creases back. In fact, you can do that to yourself. You can take your thumbs, hook them in your hip creases and give yourself a kind of a backwards assist. Think of the hip creases going back, top of the head coming forwards, draw up through the belly button, then soft knees and exhale, fold down. Inhale, push down through the feet, come all the way up. Now keep your knees soft, bring the arms up. To straighten the legs, don't do it on autopilot. For a moment, ground the base of your big toe, ground the base of your little toe, ground the middle of your heels, and do like a kind of pneumatic pushing down through the feet to straighten the legs. It's almost like it's kind of like go gadget legs. I don't know why it makes me think of Inspector Gadget, but it does. Do that again. Just bend your knees just so you can get a feel of it. And I appreciate you can't really see with my baggy trousers on. It's not particularly helpful. I've got really bent knees. But rather than just kind of straightening the legs from the knees, straighten the legs from the feet. So push down and push down, and it's almost like the pushing down lifts the head, which straightens. So you're pushing down to find the opposing force of the lifting up through the head. Just a different way of doing it to bring awareness into the feet. So bring yourself to the front of your mat if you're not quite there already. Find that grounding. Find that samastihiti, that sama, same pose. Little bit of softness in the knees, but we're grounding down to find that drawing up through the top of the head. Imagine that you're trying to make toe prints with each of your 10 toes into the ground. Think of the 3 points of contact, base of big toe, base of little toe, middle of heels. And imagine those energy lines that we just drew. Can you still feel like you are tracing that energy? So the grounding of the big toe, the energy drawing back along the foot, round the back of the bony bit of the ankle, comes up through the inner seams of the legs. Imagine it going across the hip creases and then flowing down the outside of the legs to the base of the little toe. So you can almost imagine that kind of circuit of energy drawing up, also grounding down. As you inhale, I'm going to give you quite a lot to think about. So as you inhale, you could think about the energy coming up. And as you exhale, you could think about it going down. Inhale, drawing up. Exhale, drawing down. Just add the arms. Inhale, there's a lifting up. Exhale, there's a pulling down. Good, do that again. But keep going. Of course, as you are inhaling and drawing up, that doesn't mean there isn't any drawing down. And conversely, when you are drawing down, that doesn't mean there is an element of drawing up. Everything is present to balance the other bit out. I know it sounds like a lot of contradiction there, but this is something you can kind of play with very much in your own practice. Think of drawing up and in with the inhale, think of grounding down and out with the exhale, but it's never all of one and none of the other. On your next inhale, lift up, soften the knees as you grow. Exhale, fold, soft knees all the way down. Inhale, halfway up, lengthen. You can give yourself that little adjustment in the hips. Exhale, soft knees, fold down. Inhale, Push down to rise up, straighten the legs from the feet. Exhale, straight back down. Inhale, halfway up, fingers in hip, thumbs in hips. Exhale, fold down. Inhale, push down to rise up. Reach to your ring fingers. Exhale, straight back down. Again. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, fold down. Inhale, push down and come up. Exhale, straight back down. We'll take it into a full sunny A this time. Inhale, halfway up. Again, send the hips back. Exhale, hands down, take both feet back. Come to your downward facing dog first. Just for a breath. Inhale, come to a high plank. Exhale, push back, down dog. Inhale, high plank. Exhale, push back, down dog. Again, inhale, forwards, high plank. Exhale, push back, down dog. Last time, inhale, forwards, high plank. Knees down, chest down with control. Tops of the feet into the floor for your little cobra. Peel the chest up. Now pull back with the hands so that the chest can float forwards. And exhale, roll down. Push back onto your knees. Once again, find your downward facing dog. In your downward facing dog, lift up high onto the balls of your feet. Really lift up high. Feel the hip creases lifting up. Activate your calf muscles to find that sense of lift. Now keep that activity in the legs, but let your heels drop down towards the floor. And then take your awareness to your hands. Spread the fingers nice and wide. Try and remember that feeling of evenness from front to back of hands, from left to right. And then as you are in your downward facing dog, can you take your awareness once again back to those energy lines? Can you feel a drawing up through the inside of the legs, a grounding down through the outside? Same with your hands. Could you imagine a drawing up of energy through the inside of the arm, grounding down of energy through the outside of the arm? And you could even take those arm lines through the torso so that they all meet kind of in your hip creases, going up and coming down again. End of your exhale, bend the knees, look at the space between your hands, bring your feet towards it. Inhale, halfway up, lengthen. Exhale, soft knees, fold down. Inhale, push down to rise up. Exhale, pull the arms down. Again, inhale, lift, and then exhale, float down. Inhale, halfway up, lengthen to a lunge. Exhale, right foot back, right knee down. Push the feet down into the floor so that you can lift all the way up to your fingertips. Exhale, bring the hands down. Step left foot back, all the way down to your belly. Inhale, little cobra, pull back with the hands. Exhale, push back, downward facing dog. Settle in your dog, take the right foot up in the air. Bend the right knee, roll that right hip open. Step the right foot forwards, bring the left knee down. Push down through the feet. Give yourselves roots so that you can rise up. And then exhale, hands down, step forwards. Inhale, halfway up, lengthen. Exhale, soft knees, fold down. Inhale, push down so you can lift. Exhale, straight back down on the breath. Inhale, halfway up, lengthen. Exhale, hands down, left foot back. Left knee down, ground it all so that you can lift up. Exhale, hands down, step back. High plank, down to your belly. Inhale, pull back for your cobra. Exhale, roll back, down dog. Left foot up, then the left knee, roll that left hip open. And then step the left foot forwards, right knee down. Again, ground down so that you can lift up. Exhale, hands down, step the right foot forwards. Inhale, halfway up, lengthen, soft knees. Exhale, fold down. Inhale, push down to rise up. Exhale, pull the arms down, put that softness in your knees. Inhale, use the feet to straighten the legs. Exhale, down you go. Inhale, halfway up, lengthen. Exhale, hands down, right foot back, come to a high lunge. So really challenging balance a little more. I'm already off. Hands on your hips, ground down through the feet. Remember those 3 points of contact, really ground down. Then see if you can push that right heel back and lift the back of the right thigh. Activate the left thigh, but then let the hips drop down a little lower. Inhale, take both arms up. Exhale, pause. Lift your left heel up off the mat. And exhale, put it down. And again, inhale, lift it up. Exhale, put it down. Once more, inhale, lift it up. Exhale, put it down. Good. Bring both hands down, step the left foot back. Come all the way down to your belly. Inhale, little cobra. Exhale, push back, down dog. Inhale, take your right foot up. Bend the right knee, roll that right hip open. Again, step the right foot forwards, come into your high lunge on this side. Good. So to start with, remember the grounding through the feet. So base of big toe, base of little toe, middle of heel on the front foot. Pushing back and down through the back foot. Switch it all on. Push through the feet so that the legs are active. Push the left heel back, but also think about as if you're trying to lift the back of your left thigh up away from the floor, but then let the hips drop a little lower. And then keep the grounding, but inhale, lift the arms up. Good. Find that balance between lifting up to the fingertips, grounding down through the feet. And then for 3 breaths, lift the right heel and put it down. And again, take it up and put it down. Take it up and put it down. Good. Hands down, step the left foot forward. Inhale, halfway up and lengthen. Exhale, soft knees, fold down. Inhale, push down, all the way up. Exhale, pull the arms down. Little variation on that. Inhale, take it up. Exhale, soft knees, fold down. Inhale, halfway up, lengthen. Exhale, hands down, left foot back. Keep the left knee lifted, but bring the left hand down onto the mat. that's too much, then you can bring your left knee down onto the floor. Push back through the left heel. Push forwards through the top of the head. Push down through the left hand onto the floor or onto a block and lift the chest up a little, but let the hips be heavy. A lot of opposing forces going on. Ground that left hand, and with an inhale, take a little twist. See how much you can push down through the left hand, not to use it as leverage, but to find the opposing force so that you can spin the chest open and really reach up to the right fingertips. Then bring the right hand down, step the right foot back, knees down, chest down. Inhale, lift the heart to your cobra. Exhale, push back, downward facing dog. Good, take the left foot up, bend the left knee, roll the left hip open. This time you're just letting gravity draw that left leg back. Then you're going to step the left foot forwards. And again, here we are. So again, you can have your right knee down if you want. You can have your right hand on a block if you want. Back of the heel is pushing to the back of the mat. The back of your right thigh is lifting up. Left foot is grounding down. And there's downness through the right hand. But what that does is help you find upness as you turn into the twist. The gaze can go up to your left hand if that's comfortable. If it's not, just keep looking down. But find the downness in the feet, the upness in the back of the right thigh, heaviness in the hips, downness in the right hand, and then a lift and a spin through the chest. Then bring the left hand down, step the right foot forwards. Inhale, halfway up, find that length. Exhale, soft knees, fold down. Inhale, push down through the feet, but lift to the ring fingers and exhale, pull down. Straight through sunny A. Inhale, take it up. Exhale, soft knees, fold down. Inhale, find the length through the spine. Exhale, hands down, feet back into your high plank. Knees down, chest down. Inhale, little cobra. Exhale, push back, downward facing dog. Take a couple of breaths in your down dog. So find some stillness. Find the evenness of your breath. And then find the evenness through arms and legs, even though they are opposing forces. So hands are gently pushing forwards and down. Feet are pushing back and down. Hip creases lifting up. To add a little more colour to your downward facing dog, again, consider those energy lines. That feeling in the feet of the line going from the base of the big toe round the back of the ankle bone, drawing up through the inner creases of your thighs. Feel it lifting the hip creases up to the ceiling, then drawing down through the outside of the thighs, down the back of the heel bone, and then grounding the base of your little toe. Similarly with the hands, from the base of the thumb, up the inside of the arms, deep into the armpit sockets, and then coming down the outside of the arms, grounding the base of the little fingernail. End of your exhale, bend your knees, bring both feet in towards your hands. Keep your knees soft. Inhale, halfway up and lengthen. Exhale, forwards fold. Take your first two fingers and hook first two fingers around the inside of your two big toes. Inhale again, look forward and lengthen the spine. Now get your ribs in contact with your thighs, let the head drop. Keep your ribs and thighs actively connected, and you will probably already feel a stretch through the back of your legs. If you've already got it, that's cool, stay where you are. However, if you want to juice it up a little bit, if you think you should, keep ribs and thighs connected, but by pushing down through the feet, take a little bit of bend out of the knees. So the end pose, which is not what I want you to think you have to do, is to have straight legs, ribs totally in contact with thighs, and you're folded in half like a piece of paper. I don't care if you can do that or not. But what I want you to feel is that grounding down through the feet and a pushing through the feet to just activate the stuff in your legs that you are stretching. And again, you can imagine that energy line coming from the inside of the feet, through the inner thighs, through the hip creases, and down the outside. So the hip creases stay lifted, even though the feet are grounding down. Inhale, lift and lengthen. Now your choice, either stay as you are or slide your hands under your feet so that the toes come into the first crease of your wrists. Inhale, look up and lengthen. Get those ribs nestled onto your thighs. And again, if you just need to stay here and breathe, you stay. And you can have the knees as bent as you need. I do not care. Don't let the knees roll in towards each other. Imagine that you are still grounding the base of your big toe and the base of your little toe, even though it's pushing into your palms. And again, maybe you work towards taking a little bit of bend out of the knees. But again, doesn't matter if you can, doesn't matter if you can't. Good, release the hands. Inhale, come halfway up and lengthen. Exhale, hands down, step both feet back. And then bring yourself all the way down to your belly. Again, inhale, little cobra. Exhale, push back, downward facing dog. Pause in your downward dog for a moment. Take an inhale and an exhale. Good, inhale, take the right foot up in the air. Bend the right knee and roll that right hip open. Then step your right foot forwards, turn and ground your left heel and come up to stand with your right foot in front of you. Turn the left foot in about 45 degrees for our triangle pose. If you've got a block handy, I like to have one on the outside of my right foot to ground my hand into. Take your first finger and thumb into that right hip crease. So again, remember that energy line is that we can have too much awareness sometimes in the front foot, but for now, energy line of front foot, ground the base of the big toe, energy comes along the inside of the foot, up the inner seam, across and down, and grounds the back end of the right, grounds the base of the right little toe. But remember, the same thing is happening on your back leg. So ground it, but feel the energy drawing up through the inside and down through the outside. Grounding the outside of both feet in triangle pose can be really important for some bodies, particularly because one can be inclined to fall in on the back edge of the left foot and fall in on the front edge, on the left edge of your front foot. Too much information. First finger and thumb into that right hip crease. Send the right hip crease back and underneath you. Good. Pause there for a moment. Find the energy in the legs. Switch the thighs on. Inhale. Take the arms out.
Exhale, let the left hand drop behind you. Then keep reaching out to get long. Then let the right hand come down to something. Ideally a block, because you can get some nice pressure on the block. But if it's on the thigh, that's fine. I want you to be able to ground this right hand again, so that we've got something to push down from, not to force the body open, but with grounding, we can lift and we can twist. So ground through that hand. Again, think of all the activating you've done with the hand. As you ground down, as the legs switch on, feel that drawing round and under through the ribs, and then reach the left hand up, just like you did in those low lunge twists at the beginning, when the downness in the hand allowed the upness in the other hand. See how much you can gently lean back. And stay here for another breath or two. Find the grounding down, activate the hand, activate the feet for 3, 2, and 1. Good. Take your left hand behind you. Bend the right knee well. Take your block with you if you've got it. Take the hand a giant leap forwards. Then send the chest forwards so that the back leg can't help but lift up. She said. So think of stepping the left foot in a little bit, send the chest forwards. Now, just like we did when you were straightening the leg from the foot, but not from the knee, keep the right knee soft, then push down through the foot to straighten that right leg. Again, you can ground down through the right hand. Maybe take the left arm up for your half moon pose. And again, think of those 3 points of grounding, particularly in the standing foot. Send the left foot back as much as you're sending the top of the left head, top of the head forwards. So many opposing forces here. There's down, there's up, there's forward, there's back, there's left and right. Bend the right knee again. Ooh, fall over. Take the left hand behind you. See if you can counterbalance yourself to let the left foot gently arrive onto your mat. Keep the right knee bent and inhale, come to your warrior 2. 5 breaths. Settle in. Legs strong. Think of those energy lines. Reach out actively through both arms. Reach to like the little fingers of your hands. Quite often we go for middle finger. Reach to the little finger edges of the arms for 3, 2, and 1. Good. Straighten the right leg by pushing through the foot. Turn both feet so they are parallel to the short edges of your mat. Inhale, lift the heart and lengthen. Now again, think of folding in those hip creases as you come forwards, out and down. Hands can be on the floor, or again, they can be up on your bricks. And again, think of the energy lines through the feet. So ground the base of the big toe, energy through the inner foot, up through the inner leg, cross the hip crease and down, grounding the outside of the feet. Lift the heart and lengthen, hip creases lift, and then fold into those hip creases and take a couple of breaths here. Now, if you can have the hands flat on the floor, make them active hands, just like they would be if they were in a downward facing dog. Feel the connection. And you might even have a little kind of a sense of pushing down a little through the hands. And as you push the hands forwards, that can help you deepen the fold in the hip crease. 3, 2, and 1. Inhale, lift up a little and lengthen. And then pivot one way or another. Step back into your downward facing dog. Knees down, chest down with control. Inhale, lift the heart and lengthen. Exhale, push back, downward facing dog. Good, take an inhale. And an exhale. Inhale, take the left foot up. Bend the left knee, roll that left hip open. Then step the left foot forwards, turn and ground the right foot, and make your way into your triangle shape, at least with your legs. So left foot's turned out, right foot's in about 45 degrees. Find that connection through the feet again. And I realized that when we are breaking stuff down a little bit like this, sometimes it can feel like we're taking the flowiness out of the practice, which can be good. It can be more challenging for some people, but this is the benefit in taking our time with some of these things, so that when we then come back into the flowy bits, we've got that knowledge and we can go, oh, right, I can find that in this pose and keep flowing. So think of your energy lines, ground, inner, particularly outer feet for most bodies in this pose. First finger and thumb, deep in your hip crease. Take an inhale. Activate the legs and then exhale, send that left hip crease underneath you. Then take the arms out. Then let the right hand drop down behind you and let the left hand come down to something, again, ideally solid, so you can find grounding. As you push down, that gives you the lift and the length to maybe turn and open a little more, depending on how broken your body feels today. So ground the left hand, find the downness, so you can find the lift and the length, and then maybe the right hand can go up as much as the left hand is going down. So there's an up and a down. There's also the top of the head moving away from the tailbone. There's the grounding of the inner feet and the outer feet. There's the switching on of the front leg and the back leg. And there's a smile for 3 more breaths. 2 and 1. Good, bring the right hand back down to your lower back. Bend your left knee. Remember, you're going to do this with evenness. So bend the left knee, take the left hand a giant step forwards. Then think of sending the chest forwards so that the right foot comes up. Keep the left knee bent, then push down through the left foot to straighten the left leg. It's like a little mini leg press. Activate the left foot. Get some grounding through the left hand so that you can send the right hand up. As much as the right heel is pushing back, the top of the head is pushing in the opposite direction. There's up, down, front, back, left, right. Everything is switched on. Everything is reaching away. And in the middle, find the connection. Bend the left knee. Keep the weight forwards so that you can let the right foot gracefully land. She says not landing gracefully at all. And make your way to your warrior 2. Oh dear. So I'm laughing. It's very distracting when you can see yourself and you see how inelegant one is in a pose. And I know it's not about how one looks, but trust me, when all you can see is oneself, it's very distracting. Ground the feet, switch the legs on. Think of your energy lines coming up the inside, down the outside. Reach to the little finger side of each hand. Find your breath. 3. 2.
And one. Good. Straighten the left leg. Push down through the foot to do it. Hands on your hips. Turn both feet in a little. Inhale. Lift and lengthen the spine. Exhale. Fold in the hip creases. Come forwards, out and down again. Your choice. Either hands on blocks, hands on the floor, or just as we did in our standing pose, first two fingers hook around the two big toes. Wherever you are, inhale, lift and lengthen the chest a little. And then exhale, fold in. And again, I know I keep going on about it. Find the grounding in the feet. Find the drawing up of the energy through the inside of the legs. The grounding down the outside. And same with the arm lines. Energy coming up through the inside seams of the arms, down through the outside seams. And if you just don't get that, in fact, it doesn't make any sense to you, if you can't feel it, do not worry about it. If the most you can feel is some stuff is pushing down, which means some stuff is lifting up, that's enough. One more breath here. Inhale, lift the heart and lengthen. Exhale, release your hands. One way or another, pivot yourself around to the front. Step your left foot back. Bring your knees down. Bring the chest down with control. Inhale, little cobra. Exhale, push back, downward facing dog. 3 breaths. Find your grounding. Find the lift. 3, 2, and 1. Nice. Bring your knees down. And then one way or another, come to sit. And from sit, lie down. Don't get optimistic. We're not quite at Shavasana yet, but it is just around the corner, I promise. So lie on your back. Bring your, bend your knees, bring your heels close to your bum, and have your feet about hip width apart. If you're not quite sure what hip width is, or you want something to engage the thighs, if you've got your purple block or whatever colour your block is handy, but if you put it in your thighs just for larks, kind of have it that way, so not the thinnest way, the middle thickness way. And then lie yourself down. Tuck your tailbone under so that you take out that natural curve of your spine for a moment. Hands underneath you. Hands down by your sides. Tuck your tailbone under. And with an inhale, push down through the feet again first. And lift your pubic bone first. Then lower, middle, upper back, just roll it up. And then exhale, roll it down. And again, inhale, push down through the feet, lift it up. Exhale, roll it down, and keep going with your own breath. And feel how, as you lift up, that lift has to start by pushing down with the feet. And of course, you're pushing base of big toe, base of little toe, middle of heel down. And as much as your back body is working, your front body is lengthening. So 2 slightly kind of different opposing forces, I guess. But there's kind of, they're not opposite, strengthening and lengthening, but it's what's going on. Good. The next time you are up, interlace your fingers underneath you. Take a little shimmy on the shoulder blades to get the shoulder blades a little more underneath you. Push down through the feet. Just take a couple of breaths here. And think of being as long as you can through the thighs, across the hip flexors, through the front of your torso. Lift the chest towards the chin but let the chin move away from the chest. See if you can push down even more through the feet and see if that lifts your back body just a touch more. Hold it for one more breath. And then exhale, slowly roll down. Pause there just for a moment. Take the block out of your thighs if you had it. You can let the feet wiggle apart so they are mat width apart, and let the knees just roll in and just rest up against each other. And begin to just let go of the effort. So we spent the last, well, just over an hour with a lot of effort generally, but in pushing down into the floor to find lift. And now begin to let that go completely and start to release down into the floor. And then make any moves you need to get into your Shavasana shape, whether that's a twist or another stretch. Obviously, if you twist one way, make sure you twist the other to keep it all even and balanced. And then once you're ready, again, settle yourself. Get your blankie, get your socks on, get your jumper, heck, get your woolly hat. I've been known to do that, not ashamed of it. Lovely having a warm head in Shavasana. Get whatever you need to get comfy and cozy. And then once you're settled, let your eyes gently fall closed. Let the feet fall apart. You may lift your shoulders and just let the shoulder blades snuggle in underneath you a little more. You might let the head take a little roll to the left and a roll to the right as you kind of massage the back of your skull on the floor for a moment. And then settle. Big breath in through the nose. Big sigh out through the mouth. And allow the footprint of your body to sink a little deeper. Allow the footprint that your body is making on the earth, allow it to spread. Allow it to soften. But know that the earth is right there underneath you, supporting you, gently holding you up. So now you let go of the effort, you let go of the trying, and you just soften into the earth. Remembering that this is still very much part of your practice. This is still with the focus on you. So still, whenever the mind wanders, you gently bring it back to your breath. Back to tuning in, back to those moments of stillness within the breath. For the next couple of moments, just allow yourself to be here, and I will tell you when it's time to move on. For now, just breathe and be still. Stay exactly as you are. Just take a moment, notice where your mind may have wandered to and gently bring it back. Once again, notice how you feel, notice what you are feeling, and if there is good stuff there, allow it to be fully felt. Allow it to radiate up to the top of your head, down to the tips of your toes. Let it soak into every cell. Breathe it fully in with an inhale. And just sigh the exhale out. When you're ready, begin to bring a little movement into the body by wiggling fingers and toes. Make any moves you need to roll to your side. Push yourself up to a seated position. You can have your hands in a prayer shape, or once again, one hand on your heart, one hand on your belly. Remember the intention you set back at the beginning of our time together. Remember how you wanted to feel and breathe life back into that intention with a big inhale. And let it go with the exhale. Allow the corners of your mouth to lift into a smile. Keep that on your face for as long as you possibly can. Namaste.